Well, we have some unfortunate news, depending on what camp you reside in. Walt Disney World is being sued by annual pass holders now for park reservations. Cinema Blend reports that a lot of things have changed at Disneyland and Walt Disney World since the pandemic that fans don't love. They say that chief among them is the requirement that in addition to purchasing valid tickets, guests must also make reservations before entering the parks. The system, combined with annual passes, has caused some headaches in the past, which ultimately led to a current lawsuit against the Disneyland Resort. And now a pair of Florida residents are suing Walt Disney World over the same policy. The issue is one regarding the availability of theme park reservations and blockout dates. According to Florida Politics, 2 residents of the state of Florida who have annual passes to Walt Disney World that are supposed to be valid 365 days a year are suing because, due to the reservation system, there are dates they cannot enter the park because reservations for APs are, quote, sold out, despite the fact that reservations for other Disney World ticket holders are still available. The Disneyland lawsuit in California survived an early attempt at dismissal, and so it would seem that both sides will be able to make their legal arguments. The next step in the California case will now be even more important to Disney, as the results there could be a preview of what's likely to happen in Florida as well. Tyler has mentioned lawsuits against Disney on both coasts now. How do you think this will impact annual pass holders as well as the park reservations in the future? We've got double jeopardy going on here. Whoa.
Wow, remember that terrible movie, Double Jeopardy?
That was an awful movie.
That was a bad movie.
And it's the wrong terminology to use here. But we have double the threats. Double the threats going on.
Honestly, I think they're going to lose. I think Disney's going to win is what I mean. I don't think that this has that much merit. I don't think the reservation system is going to be changing much either, honestly. I think the only way it's going to impact people, or the major way it's going to impact people, is they're just going to change the nomenclature. They're going to change the way that this stuff is written, and they're still going to continue to kind of screw over their annual pass holders, to be honest. They obviously have the numbers that tell them they make more money off of these people who are coming in out of state. You know, they want to sell ticket packages. They want to do all these things that are going to make them more money. And, I hate to say it, but annual pass holders, magic key holders, all of us, we're all second-class citizens. And they try and make you feel special by, building you a magic key terrace or giving you a bumper sticker from time to time. But just remember that they don't make as much money off of us as far as they're concerned. And I've always been curious, because I feel like a lot of annual pass holders do spend a decent amount of money, but apparently they think we don't. So how will this affect us? I don't think it's really going to affect us much. I think they're going to keep the reservation system pretty much the same. I just think that they're going to change their wording ever so slightly to protect their asses a little bit better. Yep. I can't really see this lawsuit winning, unfortunately. As much as I would like these people to win and Disney be like, oh, shoot, we got to do something now. Like, I would love that, but I just don't see it happening.
I think that they are pretty darn clear when it comes to terms and conditions as to what the expectation is. In fact, the Magic Key language to begin with never really indicated a full 365 access plan when they rolled it out. They were very careful about that, and so I completely agree. I don't think that that's going to go anywhere. Disney World might be a little different, depending on what happens with that top-tier pass and the language that they utilized out there. However, I think about these park reservations, and now that we're back to essentially full capacity everywhere, I know that the Walt Disney Company loves having this control over, who's coming to the parks and when. They say they can staff appropriately, those sorts of things. Something that they've always dreamed of for years. When I worked for the Disney organization, I remember hearing from executives all the time that they would kill to have that opportunity to control park attendance and to know exactly what was coming in and when. They now have that. I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I do wish would be just gotten rid of, because it's so unnecessary now, is the crossover times if you have a park hopper ticket. It's so unnecessary, especially at a place like Disneyland and California Adventure, to keep one segment of your park population in one place until 1 p.m. And then you can cross over, and then you can get California Adventure if you started your day at Disneyland. Out at Walt Disney World, I believe it's 2 p.m., right?
Yeah.
It seems so unnecessary at this point when you've now voluntarily said, yeah, we're pretty much back to normal. So why are we causing this unnecessary rip? If I want to spend the majority of my day at Magic Kingdom versus Epcot, I should be able to do that.
I feel like I get what you're saying, and I feel like Disney World's different because I'm not going to like go to Magic Kingdom because I have a reservation there, go in, scan my ticket, and then hop on a monorail and go to Epcot because that's where I actually want to go, and they didn't have any reservations. But with Disneyland, it's so close that I can see why they want people to kind of like, you know, be in one park for a while, because then might as well just go on a couple rides, be wait in a queue and everything, and then head over to the park that they want to go to. But I would say like at least, you know, make it earlier at like 11 o'clock or something. So instead of me waking, like, you know, I only was able to make a reservation to go to, you know, DCA, then I'm going to, you know, scan my ticket at 8 a.m. and then just exit and then pop over to Disneyland. And I can see why they don't want that to happen, because I can see a lot of people going into DCA, scanning their ticket, and then just U-turn out and then just go into Disneyland. So I can see why they want to like hold people in the park for a while, but I feel like it's just so late in the day that sometimes it's like, okay, well maybe I do want to have lunch over at, you know, Disneyland or something like that, or if I'm using the Genie Plus and I want to like utilize my money, I have to wait until this point in time. So I feel like maybe around like 11 is like fair, just to keep people there for like 3 hours, and then you can go.
I would take 11. I think that's a much better time. Have you caught the backups at the main entrance at one, like just prior to 1
it's
p.m.?
scary.
Yeah,
like when it first started, like I remember there was a day where Tyler and I were stuck at the the parking garage because it was just a chaotic mess. And so by the time we were able to like get into DCA, it was like right at that point where everybody was lined up to go into DCA for Avengers Campus. And then we had like 1 minute. I just looked and I was like, let's go! And then we had to like run, quickly scan our tickets. And as soon as we got through, they allowed other people to go in. And then it was like a stampede. It was so frightening. And now I feel like it's a little bit better maybe, but it's still a long line for people to go
Those
cross,
lines
you know?
will often touch, going into both parks where and you just watch. It's kind of a fascinating thing to see too. You watch as herds of people leave one park and go to the other. And now they've like sectioned off whole entrance gate areas for only people that are hopping. And, you know, they start forming about 30 minutes prior to 1 o'clock. And those lines will build and build and build until finally they start touching each other.
It's crazy.
It's a wild thing to see.
And if your goal is to like make money off of people, then why are you putting them in this like quarantine section where all they can do is stand there? You know, like if you're at Disneyland and you're like, oh, well, we want to go to California Adventure at 1, so, and it's like 12:30 right now. Well, what are we going to do besides go and wait in line at the gate now? Because we can't, you know, there's no eating. You don't want to start eating something. You don't want to get in line for anything like Indiana Jones. It's like, okay, I guess we're just going to be stagnant right now. We're going to be in purgatory. So let's just go and stand and
with the rest of the cattle.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then Disney won't be making any money. So I don't get it anymore. I think you're right. Let's
I feel like
abolish
11
it.
or 12 o'clock is at least fair. I mean, because I'm imagining like if it's this bad at like the 1 o'clock mark for people to like go in, I can't imagine at 8 a.m. during the holiday season. Everybody wants to go to Disneyland. No one wants to go to DCA in the morning. Everybody clocks in at DCA, scans their ticket, does a U-turn, and goes to Disneyland. And then there's a chaotic mess in the beginning of the day. But then, like, even at Disney World, I feel like 2 o'clock is so stupid. Like, it's
really late.
it is so long of a day, like, where you want to go on a couple rides over at somewhere, and then it already takes an hour to get from one park to the next park with their bus system. That it's just kind of like, okay, great. So now I'm losing how many hours? Because, again, like, you're waiting for an hour, half hour before you're able to like cross into like the next park. So,
and you've mentioned before too, obviously places like Hollywood Studios, which many view as sort of a half-day park. You know, for most folks that go in and recognize that there's only a handful of attractions that you can really hammer out in a pretty short amount of time. To have the ability to park hop from, say, a park like that, or even Animal Kingdom, which I feel like, you know, on top of Hollywood Studios, I feel like there's even far less to do. And so you're able to jump when you'd like with the park hopper ticket of old, and now you have to wait. And it just feels like I paid the money. Perhaps I should have the privilege that I paid for a little earlier in the day. But
it would be nice.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You let us know. Do you think that this Walt Disney World lawsuit is going to go anywhere? anywhere. Do you agree with Tyler that it's dead in the water? We'd love to hear your perspective.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.